Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boy.
Achieving your 2025 goals, more so how to achieve your 2025 goals. The biggest thing for this, I would say, even before we get into the video, before we have Ali Abdul come up here and do his spiel, the main thing that I know when it comes to achieving your 2025 goals is systems over goals. You have to have systems in place in order to achieve your 2025 goals. When a lot of people go into 2025 or any new year, a lot of people like to set their New Year's resolutions. Throw those in the trash, guys. Throw those in the trash, because a lot of times we all know how the New Year's resolutions go. You set this thing at the beginning of the year like it's something that you want to accomplish, and then by the end of January, you done forgot about it. I let everybody love to do the classic example, the gym warriors. I'm about to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do my thing. Annoying the folks that be at the gym already, because now everybody know that in January, the gym be packed. It be packed. So annoying them folks. And then by February, all those gym goers, they gone. They gone. And there is a reason that a lot of people fail these things, guys. And it's because they don't have the systems in place to actually achieve the goals that they are going to set. I say resolutions over goals anyway, because a lot of resolutions to me, they're very much quick things that you want to hit. It's not really like, I don't see a lot of people make real big lifestyle changes with their New Year's resolutions or whatever it is. So I always say systems over goals. But in order to, this is why I said, achieving your 2025 goals, because you have to have the goals first. That way you can set the systems behind it. But that's all that Ali Abdul is going to talk about in this thing that he got going. So let's go ahead and get into that. Let's go.
In this video, we're going to talk about 5 pretty easy evidence-based things you can do to master.
Oh, y'all, I can't hear. I can't hear this thing.
Massively increase the chances that you.
All right, let's go.
In this video, we're going to talk about 5 pretty easy evidence-based things you can do to massively increase the chances that you're actually going to achieve your goals. Now, obviously, when it comes to actually setting and achieving goals, generally the thing that separates people who do achieve their goals from the people who don't achieve their goals is the action that they're actually putting into them. But if you look at the science, there are actually these 5 relatively straightforward things you can do to stack the deck in your favor. Call them hacks, call them habits. They don't take very long, but they will massively boost your odds of actually achieving the goals. And so if you're already doing all 5 of these things, fantastic, you are winning. And if you're not doing some or any of these 5 things, then you've got some very easy wins that you can apply pretty much as soon as you finish watching this video. And by the way, if you're new here, hello, my name is Ali. I'm a doctor turned entrepreneur and author. And since 2017, I've been making videos on this channel, which are all about the books, the ideas, the strategies and tools that can help us live more intentionally, be more productive, and generally build a life that we truly love. I also spent ages researching and writing this book, Feel Good Productivity, which is a New York Times and Sunday Times bestseller. And this dives deep into how we can get stuff done without burning out or sacrificing the things that matter most. And it's available in paperback, hardback, Kindle, Audible, basically everywhere books are sold, and has also been translated into 35 languages. And it's got a couple thousand 5-star reviews on Amazon and Goodreads. So if that sounds interesting, it'll be linked down below if you want to check it out. All right, so let's start with point number 1. Now here I want to play you this clip from a guy called Jim Rohn. Now Jim Rohn was a multimillionaire success coach guy based in the US, but at age 25, he was completely broke, but he managed to get mentored by this business tycoon guy called Mr. Shoaff. And here he is talking about an interesting encounter with Mr. Shoaff that completely changed his life.
Not long after I met Mr. Shoaff, we're having breakfast one morning. Mr. Shoaff said, Mr. Rohn, now that we've gotten acquainted, we know each other fairly well, he said, maybe one of the best ways I can help you, he said, let me see your current list of goals. Let's go over them and talk about it. And I said, what? I don't have a list. He said, well, Mr. Rohn, if you don't have a list of your goals, he said, I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s, which he did. And that got my attention. I said, you mean my bank balance would change if I had a list of goals? He said, drastically. So that day I became a student of setting goals. And I've used it to dynamically affect my life. I've taught it to some of my business colleagues. We use it to do business around the world. Setting goals.
So this is interesting. Write down your list of goals. I'm curious.
All right, y'all. So the first one is writing down your list of goals. This is what I said. when it comes to creating your system, you actually have to have the goals first. For me in my life, I've always said things and just like I want to accomplish this a lot of times. It's just a verbal something verbally saying that okay, yeah, I want to do this. I've actually started writing these things down. When I actually started writing them down, not only do I actually remember my goals, this is why I say a lot of people forget that gym goal. No, not only do I actually remember my goal, but it's something that I constantly have to where I'm always going to see that goal, so I want to work towards it. Like it's not something that I forget. And having that list of goals, it helps guide you through the things that you know that you want to be doing to actually reach those goals. Because it's like a lot of things we do don't cater to us. They don't cater at all to us achieving our goals. Like you would know, okay, I need to wake up in the morning earlier to achieve these goals. But if you don't have the goals in place, you're not even going to take that first step to even get towards those goals. So that's why, honestly, writing them down, it's the writing them down. Don't just say what your goals is. Don't just think about what your goals is, but actually sit there and while you're thinking about them, write down your goals. That way you can see them and you can say, okay, this is doable in my life.
Do you have a list of goals written down somewhere? Could you bring them up if someone asked you to see them? But you might be thinking, this seems a bit too good to be true. This is just some like personal development guru. It's like, it surely can't be that basic as just writing down your list of goals. Do we have any actual science or research to back this up? And to that, I would like to draw your attention to this study from the Dominican University. And these guys were basically testing, does writing down your goals compared to not writing them down change your chances of achieving said goals? So on the y-axis, we've got average goal achievement, and then we've got two groups. One group did not write down their goals, and the other group wrote down their goals. This was the average goal achievement for the group that set goals but did not write them down. And this was the average goal achievement for the group that set goals and did write them down. The researchers found that if you write down your goals, you're around 42% more likely to actually achieve them. Now, I don't know about you, but if I could improve by 42% the probability of me actually achieving the goals I've set for myself simply by writing them down, I would probably do that because it doesn't take that long to write down your goals. And that is why our evidence-based strategy number one for achieving your goals is to simply write them down. Now, it doesn't really matter what format you write them down in. I personally have a Google Doc that I've named Goalkeeper, and I've been doing this for the last couple of years. And I personally like setting quarterly goals rather than annual goals. I refer to my quarterly goals as my quarterly quests. And each quarter, so every 3 months, I like to set around 3 or 4 of them. I found that if I set any more than 4, I don't end up making progress on any of them. And so 3 or 4 seems to be like a reasonable number. Oh, by the way, quick thing. If you're watching this before the 4th of January, 2025, then you might like to check out the completely free 2-day productivity workshop that I'm hosting on the 4th and 5th of January, 2025. It is called Productivity Spark, and it's potentially.
All right, y'all. So the first one, write them down. In my life, I've actually already pretty much wrote out my goals for the year. And when I say I write them down for the year, I kind of know like the check marks of where these goals are going to be at throughout the year. So instead of doing a quarterly one, I will get mine all out for the year. And then I'll look back and see, okay, what is this goal that I wanted to accomplish? Like, and when will I be able to accomplish? Okay, I know this goal is supposed to happen in June. So what do I need to be doing between January, February to March in order to get me closer to that goal? So that means that way I'm setting those smaller goals along the way. That's how I usually do mine, because I have like big goals that I want to accomplish, but of course to get there is like I need a checklist of items. So this goal, this goal, this goal, this goal, and then I can create those goals to add into like a quarterly checklist to see where I'm at on my goals throughout the year. Because I don't set just yearly goals. Like, for example, I have a goal where at just this beginning of the year, I usually do this goal where I want to do a sobriety journey, which is basically not doing any. I already don't drink a lot, but I do drink on weekends. So it's me cutting them out on the weekends. Now I'm not drinking throughout the weekend, and I'm gonna go a longer period of time of sobriety. So that's one that I actually written down, and we'll have some systems around it. So let's continue though.
Alrighty, so now we come to insanely simple strategy for actually achieving your goals, number 2. Now here it is worth us understanding a little bit of the brain called the reticular activating system. Now the RAS is basically a bundle of nerves at the base of your brainstem that acts as a filter, and it determines what information your brain pays attention to. Obviously in day-to-day life, there are millions upon millions of various sensory inputs that your brain could pay attention to. So how does it know which ones to focus on? Well, that's where the reticular activating system comes in. Generally, based on your goals and priorities, the brain filters out stuff that is irrelevant to those goals and priorities and helps focus your attention on the stuff that actually matters to you. The classic example of this is, let's say you are buying a car and you're like, man, I really want to get a Fiat 500. All of a sudden, by the fact that you've set the intention to buy potentially a Fiat 500, you will suddenly start seeing Fiat 500s literally everywhere you look. And that is not because all of a sudden when you decided to set the goal of buying a Fiat 500, suddenly everyone else also bought Fiat 500s. It's because of your reticular activating system. Because you have set this as a goal for yourself, your brain is more likely to notice all of the Fiat 500s that are floating around the place. And so strategy number 2 for drastically improving our chances of actually achieving our goals is to actually look at those goals that you've written down every single week, if not every single day. Mistake number 1 that people make is that they don't set goals in the first place, but you're not going to make that mistake.
Okay, so looking at your goals, to me, the biggest thing with looking at your goals is it's a reminder, a constant reminder. Because like I said, I know I'm somebody, if I go too long without actually looking at my goals, without actually talking about my goals, they are to the wayside. I mean, as soon as they come out my mouth, y'all. I don't know about how you all feel about that, or if you all actually, if that happens for y'all. But for me, if I'm not constantly talking about my goals, if I'm not constantly involved with my goals, if I don't see these goals, they will be out the window as quick as I'm saying them, like literally out the window. It won't even register. So that's why actually having them written down right now, they're written down on my whiteboard. So y'all look out on a video for that. I will review my goals and stuff like that, just to, because it's what I want to do. And we'll also talk about goals that I've actually accomplished in the past. But yeah, those usually are on my whiteboard. So waking up, seeing those goals, I will actually stick to things just because I actually see them on a day-to-day. If not, oh no, that thing's out to the wayside. I know for sure this happened recently, because even last year, I've been doing my sobriety thing probably about, this will be the 3rd year that I've done it. The first year, flawless, did it perfectly. But the second year, I actually slipped up because I wasn't seeing it all the time. I wasn't seeing it all the time. I wasn't talking about it. I wasn't actively participating in that. And the reason was because if y'all remember, I was not doing YouTube at that time at the beginning of the year. I didn't really start back doing YouTube until the end of February. So January and February, that goal was already, I wasn't talking about it. I wasn't involved in it. I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't seeing that goal constantly. So I wasn't participating in it. Let's continue.
Because you're watching this video. Mistake number 2 is that if they do set goals, they don't write them down. Mistake number 3 is that for so many of us, we set goals at the start of the year and then we never look at them ever again. And so the idea behind strategy number 2 is that we can harness the reticular activating system by actually looking at our goals every single day or every single week. I personally review mine once a week as part of my weekly reset. I've got a little journaling prompt that says, what were my quarterly quests and how are they going? And that means every single week when I do my weekly resets, it just reminds me to check up on my quarterly goals. Each week, I also set 3 main priorities for the week. And then as part of my daily morning manifesto, is what I call it, morning manifesto journaling practice, I ask myself a simple question, which is, what were our weekly priorities and how are they going? I like to refer to it as R rather than my, because it sort of feels like I'm harnessing all parts of my brain. What were our weekly priorities and how are they going? So every single week, I'm reviewing my quarterly goals. Every single day, I'm reviewing my weekly priorities. This does not take very much time at all. This is like a 10-second job at most, but it's just that little jog that the brain needs to be like, oh yeah, I did intend to sign up for that squash club, or oh yeah, I did intend to make progress on that particular work task. And sometimes it's just so easy to forget those things otherwise, because we're so caught up in the day-to-day of what's happening in the calendar, what's happening in work and in life. But by literally spending 10 seconds every week looking back at your list of written goals or priorities, that alone is such a needle-moving insight that I'm amazed that more people don't do it. And to be honest, this video is advice for myself because I also sometimes fall off. I know all the studies, did a shit ton of research on my book talking about all this stuff, and still I forget sometimes to do my weekly reset where I look at my goals. And sometimes a couple of weeks pass where I haven't looked at my list of goals. I'm like, damn, I've actually been less consistent with the goals that I set because I simply forgot to look at them. Oh, by the way, if one of your dreams or goals is to potentially grow an audience or to generate consistent revenue or turn whatever expertise you have in. All right, let's move.
Yeah, like I said, though, when it comes to looking at your goals, he hit that at the end pretty good, because it's something to remind you about your goals and the things that you want to accomplish. It's first you write them down, then you have to keep them constant in your head. Y'all talk about your goals. Talk about the things that you want to accomplish. You have to actually be actively involved in doing those things, or even seeing that, okay, this is something that I want to accomplish, or you will forget about it. It's so easy to forget about these things. You know, we all have so much that's going on in life. This may hit you, that might hit you. Curveball come and smack you right in the face. That the goals will be on the wayside. You won't even think about them because you don't have them written down, and then you're not constantly looking at them or have something to remind you about what your goals are in the first place. Let's go ahead and get on to number 3.
Let's move on to strategy number 3, and here we can cite this meta-analysis of, I think, 138 studies that covered nearly 20,000 participants, and the authors of the meta-analysis found that one simple strategy that you can use to improve your odds of goal attainment is simply to monitor your progress regularly. In my case, for example, in my weekly reset thing, I asked myself, what were my quarterly quests and how are they going? The "and how are they going" bit encourages me to actually monitor progress. Generally, I give it red, yellow, or green, or I just say kind of on track or off track. Just even that is enough for me to monitor the progress that I'm making towards my goals. Every single day when I make the time to
Monitoring the progress of your goals is a great one, just because a lot of times, especially when you have long-term goals, guys, when you set these big goals and you might not see the progress in the beginning. You won't always see the progress straight up. So monitoring that goal will help you 1,000 times. For example, y'all know I had the huge 3-year goal of paying off my student loan debt. Without monitoring that and seeing it actually go down every month, I honestly probably would have quit that goal because it would have seemed so unobtainable. So by me monitoring that goal, I was able to see the difference in real time, able to see the change in real time, because I could see that number going down. Another thing that might help y'all is maybe, you know, monitoring your progress in the gym. The only reason the gym is tricky is because you might want to, the scale is just a little different. Just monitor your progress. Monitor your progress with a lot of these things. You might not see a change in your body, but you might see a change in your strength. You might have got stronger, you know. So it's a lot of different things that come with monitoring your progress when it comes to being in the gym. But overall, with a lot of your goals, monitor your progress, monitor how you're feeling, monitor the actual goal that you have set for that thing, and everything will be good. You'll just continue. As long as you feel good, you will continue. If you're seeing yourself mark these things off, when you're not seeing yourself mark these things off, it will encourage you to actually continue doing it, especially if you do like a monthly checkup and all that stuff. Like, I didn't hit my goal. I didn't hit that miniature goal, the progress that I wanted to attain that goal this month. So you'll be like, man, I gotta change something up. I gotta focus on something different.
time to do my morning manifesto, and I ask myself, what were our priorities for the week and how are they going? Again, I'm monitoring progress. I defined the most important priorities at the start of the week, and now I'm just checking in with myself to see how am I actually doing in achieving them. The other way that I personally like to do this monitoring progress thing is also fairly simple. I use an app, Things 3, for my to-do list, and within Things 3, I have the various projects that I'm working on. So I've got, you can ignore Iram and Angus. This is sort of two of my team members that I delegate stuff to. So that is a project because of delegation and stuff. But I basically split up my project into work and life. And you can see I've got these 4 different projects under work: company relocation, life OS, mastermind, and learn AI agents. And I've got get food and autopilot because I'm sorting out like some sort of food situation for my life. These are a couple of the projects that I'm actively working on. And about once a week when I update my projects list, I will just put a little emoji of like yellow or green. Green is it is on track. Yellow is that it's sort of a bit off track, but there's a plan to get it back on track. And if it's red, it's like off track without a plan. You can also monitor your progress in any which way you like. Back when I was writing my book, Feel Good Productivity, I monitored progress in terms of word counts for specific chapters because that's like an easy way to make progress more visible. It also just makes it feel better as you're achieving a goal if you're able to monitor the progress, sort of like the leveling up bar in a video game. As you're killing monsters and doing the quests, you're leveling up, your experience meter is filling, and there's something very satisfying about that. But what the evidence suggests is that people who just take a small amount of time to regularly monitor the progress of their goals are significantly more likely to actually achieve them. And that is why that is point number 3, monitor your progress. Again, super easy, super simple, doesn't take very long. If you're not monitoring the progress of your goals, you are leaving a lot of free kind of goal attainment points on the table, and you just might as well start doing it because why not? All right, let's move on to
monitoring your goals. It does give you like a false sense of you accomplished something, which is great when you're trying to accomplish a goal because you're already getting those little wins. It's like the little snowball method when it comes to paying off your debt. Another monitoring your progress thing that I was doing that I stopped doing, and I noticed it did affect me was when I was reading books. Y'all know I used to try to read one book a month. I used to actually monitor those things. Like I used to look at them weekly and then monitor how far I am within that book. If I actually completed a book, and then once I completed a book, I would give it like a rating. Green if I would read it again, yellow if I just read it. Red was I'm not reading this book again. It wasn't good. And then I had like, okay, you can read this. This one right here is a good book for you to repeat it and read it. But just monitoring your progress, it comes in a lot of different ways. I like how he said that, because depending on the object, the goal, depending on the goal, you can monitor them in totally different ways. So that's actually a good one. Monitoring them, keep that stuff in your mind.
To fairly simple strategy number 4, and this comes from a psychologist called Gabrielle Oettingen, and it's a strategy called mental contrasting. Now, mental contrasting is the idea where you basically visualize something that you want in the future, but it's not just about visualizing the outcome. We find that people who spend too long visualizing having already achieved their goals, actually in some studies, are less likely to achieve those goals. But if you visualize achieving your goals and you also contrast it with the obstacles that you might encounter along the way, that is mental contrasting, and that really seems to boost people's goal attainment. And so this psychologist, Gabrielle Oettingen, came up with a fairly simple technique called the WHOOP method, which stands for wish, outcome, obstacle, and plan. Now, the wish and the outcome is where you are basically setting a goal. There are all sorts of different ways for goal setting. You can use the GPS system, which is my personal favorite. You can think in terms of facts, feelings, and functionality. You can think in terms of wish and outcome, like what is the thing that you wish for and what is the outcome that would happen as a result of you achieving that goal. But then the key bit of the WHOOP method is this obstacle and plan. You are visualizing the obstacles that might stand in your path. Let's say, I've set the goal of, writing my next book by halfway through next year. All right, cool. What are the obstacles that could get in my path? Well, one obstacle is I might not make time for it. Another obstacle is I might run out of ideas. Another obstacle is I might feel demotivated when I sit down to try and write. And then the final component of the WHOOP method is plan. What is my plan for addressing those obstacles? So I might say, okay, cool. I'm going to put in 3 hours on my calendar block every single morning to focus on writing. I might do a few brainstorming sessions with my team to avoid the problem of running out of ideas. And I might use an app that me and my team have built called VoicePal to make writing more fun, because then I can write the book while talking rather than while simply typing on a computer. And so strategy number 4 that we have here is visualize obstacles and to make a plan. Again, doesn't take very long to do. Each time you set a goal, you can just spend literally 3 minutes thinking to yourself, okay, cool, wish, outcome, W-O, obstacle, plan. What are the obstacles that could get in my way, and what's my plan for overcoming those obstacles? And again, according to the research, this will drastically improve your odds of actually achieving the goal. And then finally, we come to...
I'm not going to lie to y'all. That WHOOP method, that might hit. Because I haven't watched this before, y'all. That WHOOP method, that might hit. And I've honestly known this because it's a lot of obstacles that we face. I really think when it comes to setting up your system to attain your goals, to achieve these goals, the planning around the obstacles is one of the fundamental things that we need to plan for. Because a lot of times those obstacles are what stops us from achieving these goals. For me, I will say one of those is I use the gym, for example, because I've been already setting these systems in place. The biggest thing for me is no motivation and just not going, y'all. Literally, that's what it is. And since I've been home, because my schedule has been messed up and all that, I have not been to the gym because I have so much other stuff going on that it's messed up my schedule, and my system for going to the gym has been messed up. But even on that, my whole thing has been just go. A lot of times when I don't feel like going, just go walk, go do that. But the system I had in place for the obstacles of not going to the gym was literally, I had a time. Okay, I'm gonna go after work. That's when I'm gonna go. And then when I don't feel like going, just go and walk. That way I get used to being in the gym, and I just want to be in the gym. I stay in the gym. That's all I'm gonna do is be at the gym. So now I'm used to being at the gym. I'm used to going at that time anyway. Even when I'm tired, I know I can just take a walk and do something lazy. And then usually when I get in there, I do the workout that I was planning on doing anyway. That's one thing that happens with that. But I might have to put that into a lot of my other goals. Think about the obstacles that are going to hit me, and then plan around those in the beginning. That way they don't even affect me in the least. Okay, we got something else to add. Let's go.
Come to fairly easy strategy number 5, and that is to tie them to an identity. Now, the classic example of this is that there was a study where they looked at voting. So for some of the people in the study, they asked, will you vote in this election? And for the other half, they asked, will you be a voter in this election? And they found that the people who were asked the question of will you be a voter were way more likely to vote than the people who were simply asked, will you vote? Will you vote is an action. Will you be a voter is an identity. So the key thing here is wherever possible, when you've got your goals, you want to just sort of spend an extra 20 seconds to tie them to an identity. For example, one of my goals is to reduce my visceral abdominal tissue because, genetics and stuff, and I want to live longer and healthier, and I've been reading Outlive by Peter Attia. Now, setting the goal of improving my bench press or reducing my visceral adipose tissue or all that kind of stuff is all well and good. But if I were to take the 20 seconds to tie them to an identity of I am a healthy person, that will make it more likely that I'll actually achieve the goals and I'll actually stick with it when the going gets tough because I've resonated with that identity. Similarly, I found when I was working on my YouTube channel, when I gave myself permission to lean into the identity of I am a YouTuber, that was what allowed me to stay consistent with making YouTube videos in the tough times. For ages, I did not identify with the identity of being an author or being a writer because I had all sorts of imposter syndrome around it. Who am I to write a book? Any of this sort of stuff. But when I lent into that identity of being an author, and I started this video, I'm a doctor turned entrepreneur and author, leaning into the identity of being an author. What does an author do? An author writes. What does a writer do? A writer writes. That makes it a lot easier in the mornings when I'm figuring out what I want to do with my day, what I want to do with my week. Oh yeah, I'm a writer. I guess I should do some writing. And this is often in line with the goals that I have for myself. So the question would be, for whatever goals that you're setting for yourself, how can you tie them to an identity? Because there's a quote that I really like from Tony Robbins, which is that the strongest force in human personality is the need to stay consistent in how we define ourselves. If you label,
and hey, I'm gonna let that part end right there. Tie your goals to your identity. Who are you guys? Who are you is the main thing with that. Who are you? I don't know what book this was in. It had to be Atomic Habits. It had to be Atomic Habits, where this was the first time that I seen that to be able to achieve your goals or to actually get a habit to stick is to actually become that person. Make that person be your identity. A lot of people's identity is I'm a smoker. So what do they do, guys? What do smokers do? They smoke every day. I'm a drinker. What do drinkers do? They have competitions to see who can drink the most, So a lot of these things that we tie our identity to, there are a lot of negatives, but if you were to tie them in the positive, you would be good. For example, I am a YouTuber, guys. I am a content creation. I create so much content. It's ridiculous. And I'll create content for nobody. If nobody watched this today, it will be content still made by me because I attach to being this identity. I attach to being somebody who puts out content on many fronts. Heartfelt conversations where we just talk about the things that are happening now, relationships, fun, we have a good time. Put content out on that. Vlogging, I put content on that at least monthly, self-development. Besides all those other categories, I am a content creator. So I create content and that's what I do. It's not just that, it's an identity that I picked up. It's actually something that I do. So I would avidly call myself a YouTuber, or not just a content creator, because I create content generally. That's what I do. I create content. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I do them all. And they all have their different quirks and their different things to do, but I enjoy them all. So I would categorize myself as a content creator, as a YouTuber, and that's the identity that I decide to pick up. But what identity will you be? I know people, they are gymmers. They are gym bros. My brother, he's a gym bro. What does he do? He goes to that gym. I'm telling you, once things become a part of your identity, you might be a runner. Now you run. And like I said, we can even go to the negative ones. Smoking, drinking. You're a gambler. That's part of your identity. And you're going to go gamble. So if you have to switch these things into the good side, you might be a Christian, you might be a Muslim. Those are your identity, and those things stick to you. And you actually, when things become your identity, a lot of times it sticks to you. That's who you are. So a lot of those things become the habits that you employ, that you show off for the world. Hey, y'all, but those are pretty much 5 that will help you along this way. I want to mention them one more time. 1 second. First, you got to write them down. Write down your goals. 2, I need you looking at your goals, guys. Weekly, monthly. periodically look at these goals so that you have a reminder of them, and also 3, monitor them at the same time. When you look at your goals, monitor them then. Like it's not like, okay, let me look at them and then at a separate time let me monitor them. You can do those all at the same time. Then you need to visualize your obstacles and plan for them before they happen. A lot of things that you know are going to hit you along the way, and you can plan around those things just by looking and doing some. Think about what your obstacles are going to be. That's all. By thinking about what the obstacle is going to be, you know yourself more than everybody. You know if you lazy. You know that if you love sweets and you trying to lose weight at the gym, one of your obstacles is going to be buying the Debbie cakes at the store. So you know that one of your obstacles is them Debbie cakes. You need to leave them Debbie cakes out of your buggy, out of your pantry closet, because you already know what's gonna happen at night when you sitting there. You're gonna start thinking about that Debbie cake. You're gonna start thinking about that honey bun, that cosmic brownie, that pin roll. Keep them out of your pantry closet, y'all, because that's an obstacle that's gonna hit you. Yeah, it's not gonna hit y'all. That's gonna hit Steve. That's what that I use. I know if I had some sweets in there, I'm gonna tear them up. Y'all, I got some sweet potato pie in the fridge right now. I might need to throw some of them out, because if not, I'm gonna eat every single piece I got. They personal, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all, I got 8 of them things. 8 little personal pies, bro. I might have to throw some of them out, because if not, I'm gonna eat one a day. I'm gonna eat one a day. I ain't ate my one for today, but trust and believe that thing will get smacked on. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and leave a comment, man. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and leave a comment.